LiberalViewer presents.
So having made my last two videos about America's killing of Osama Bin Laden, I've gotten several comments from viewers asking about the legality of going into another country and shooting an unarmed man in the head, and I'll get to that topic later in the video, but beyond whether the killing of Bin Laden was legal, an interesting issue I saw Bill Maher raise in one of his new rules on HBO's Real Time last week was whether celebrating the killing of Bin Laden is hypocritical for Christians, as Maher argued it is in this clip.
Jesus lays on that hippie stuff pretty thick. He has lines like, "Do not repay evil with evil, and do not take revenge on someone who wrongs you." Really? It's in that book you hold up when you scream at gay people.
And while you'd expect Bill Maher to call right-wing Christians hypocritical there, and he did, I also enjoyed seeing him take on both sides by bringing the unchristian aspect of killing Bin Laden back around to President Obama, as you can see in this clip.
If you go to a baptism and hold the baby under until he starts talking, you're missing the message. Like, apparently, our president, who says he gets scripture on his BlackBerry first thing every morning, but who said on 60 Minutes that anyone who would question that Bin Laden deserved assassination should, quote, have their head examined. Hey, Fox News, you missed a big headline. Obama thinks Jesus is nuts.
No, of course, President Obama certainly didn't say Jesus was nuts, and he didn't even exactly say Bin Laden deserved assassination, but he did seem to be talking more about Old Testament justice than New Testament forgiveness when he said that Bin Laden deserved what he got in that 60 Minutes interview CBS uploaded in full to YouTube, which ends with this clip.
As nervous as I was about this whole process, the one thing I didn't lose sleep over was the possibility of taking Bin Laden out. Justice was done. And I think that anyone who would question that the perpetrator of mass murder on American soil didn't deserve what he got needs to have their head examined.
I love 60 Minutes. And when Obama talked about justice there, I don't think he was talking theologically, but more about his legal justification, because despite the questions I've gotten from some of my friends on the left about the legality of the mission to take out Bin Laden, I don't think that's even a close call, even though the U.S. Constitution gives the power to initiate wars to the U.S. Congress, not the President. Some people seem to forget that in September 2001, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution specifically stating, quote, that the President is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons he determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11, 2001, or harbored such organizations or persons in order to prevent any future acts of international terrorism against the United States by such nations, organizations, or persons, unquote. Now, at other times, that September 2001 authorization for use of military force has been stretched too far to try to justify too many other things, like locking up American citizens indefinitely and warrantless wiretapping, but the one thing it clearly does authorize is the use of force to get the terrorists who attacked the United States and are planning to attack again, and describing it that way as an act of self-defense also provides justification for the use of force under international law, and once U.S. and international law justify the military operation, then shooting combatants who aren't wounded and aren't actively surrendering, whether they're visibly armed or not, falls well within acceptable military rules of engagement. In fact, the only lack of justification for this kind of self-defensive military use of force might come from Christianity, as Bill Maher explained back on HBO in this clip.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but nonviolence was kind of Jesus's trademark. Kind of his big thing. To not follow that part of it is like joining Greenpeace and hating whales. I mean, you know, there's interpreting, and then there's just ignoring. It's just ignoring if you're for torture, as are more evangelical Christians than any other religion.
And that last part about torture is definitely true, because the big hypocrisy Bill Maher pointed out there came from a 2009 Pew Research Center study showing support for torture is highest among white evangelical Protestants, which to me as a non-Christian makes no sense, though I wouldn't go so far as to tell Christians they aren't Christian as Bill Maher does in this clip.
I'm a non-Christian. just like most Christians. And Christians, I know, I'm sorry. I know you hate this and you want to square this circle, but you can't. I'm not even judging you. I'm just saying logically, if you ignore every single thing Jesus commanded you to do, you're not a Christian. You're just auditing. You're not Christ's followers. You're just fans.
Now I think Bill Maher went too far there, because as a non-Christian, my understanding is that Christianity only really requires a belief in the divinity of Jesus, with everything else being forgivable, and in fact, everything else being forgivable is one of the hallmarks of the religion, but I want to know what you think. Does supporting the use of military force in self-defense disqualify someone from calling himself or herself a Christian? And on the question of legality, does the September 2001 congressional authorization for the use of military force and the self-defense justification make it legal for the U.S. to enter another country and shoot an unarmed Osama Bin Laden in the head?
I YouTube, you decide.